Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis.
When I was dead broke, man, I couldn't picture this.
In the 90s, Nintendo and Sega were fighting on who could get the most console sales.
Okay! Oh, he licked it! Oh!
Nintendo had the Super Nintendo and Mario, who has already been established for years at that point, and other characters like Link, Kirby,
This umbrella works wonders for murdering!
and Samus, and the list goes on Nintendo mascots. And Sega was the newcomer. They had Sonic as their main mascot,
And freeze it. Looks like Eggman ordered this special sauce.
who was brand new to the scene, but already getting sales because he was radical and gnarly, and other words you would use in the 90s. And their other characters were, Michael Jackson? It doesn't matter. They have Sonic, and he's cool. Too cool, in fact. So cool that a bunch of other companies tried to make their own versions of Sonic. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. This video, I'm going to be going over the 3 most known Sonic clones. Well, maybe not most known, just 3 ones that are worth talking about. Anyway, starting with Bubsy the Cat. Probably the most known Sonic clone out of all the ones we're going to be talking about in this video. And even as of recent, had a comeback and is apparently even getting a new game this year, so good for him. Anyway, Bubsy's first game was on both Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. The game was called Bubsy in Claw's Encounters of the Furry Kind. It sold decently well, enough to get a sequel, simply titled Bubsy 2, which was also on both consoles, but also had a version on Game Boy. But it wasn't the same game as the one on consoles because this was back at the time where every game would release on every console, even though it's obvious a game on GameCube will not play on the Game Boy Advance SP, and it would just be a completely different game. And then it gets confusing because it's like, oh, I played this game, but you played a different version than it, and I'm just glad we don't do that anymore, but whatever. So yeah, it had a Game Boy version, but it was a completely different game. Anyway, so the second game sold pretty well, and then after that, he had a game on the Atari Jaguar called Bubsy in Fractured Fur Tales. Now, this game didn't sell well. It sold like shit, actually. Probably not because of the game itself, but because it was on the fucking Atari Jaguar. And nobody, and I mean nobody, owns a fucking Sega Jaguar. I mean, I don't think anyone even knows about it unless you watched Angry Video Game Nerd like me as a kid. I doubt the general public even knows about that console's existence. So, obviously, it sold like dog shit. Anyway, so after this flop, the developers of Bubsy decided they were going to make a fully fledged 3D game. Because like all the big boys are doing it, well, one of them, the other one's, well, trying. Don't worry, give them another 2 years, it'll be alright. Anyway, so they make a 3D game because, like their mascot would say, what could possibly go wrong? Well, a lot actually could go fucking wrong because it's known as one of the worst games of all time because of its bad, tank-like controls and horrible camera controls. In fact, they stopped making games after this until he came back in like 2017. But we're gonna be just talking about the 90s for this video. So this is where Bubsy's story ends in our video. Anyway, next mascot we're talking about. Anyway, so the next guy is Acro the Acrobat. He's probably the... Well, there's only 3 in this video, so I guess he's the second less known. Anyway, he had a game come out in 1993 called Acro the Acrobat, and it's about a bat who works at a circus, and his name is Acro, and has to defeat the evil guy to save his friends and girlfriend. The game got a sequel in 94, and in that same year got a spin-off called Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel, which is about a ninja squirrel saving his forest from a lumberjack. I don't know why he's the Kamikaze Squirrel. I never played the game. Maybe he like super pilots himself at the end. I guess we'll never know. But anyway, the game got a remake on Game Boy Advance in 2002, and is now playable on modern consoles. So I guess it turned out alright for the guy in the end. More interested about his spin-off, Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel, because, like, why the hell is he a kamikaze squirrel? Does he kill himself, like, by a pilot? Like, I don't get it. Probably have to censor all that because I can't say the fucking words on YouTube. Which is fucking stupid, but whatever. Anyway, our last game is kind of the reason I made this video, because I think it's just so funny. And our next game is Socks the Cat Rocks the Hill. Now, technically this game went unreleased till 2018, until its Super Nintendo version, which is the only version of the game that exists. And apparently there was going to be one for Sega Genesis, but who cares? It went unreleased, it was made in the 90s, and I don't care. I want to talk about this game because it's funny. So anyway, in this game, you play as Socks the Cat, who is no other than 42nd U.S. President Bill Clinton's cat.
Yeah, I came in with the salt. Ooh, yeah, I came in with the salt. Bitch, I play red raw. Yeah, bitch, I play red raw. Yeah, I came in with the salt. Ooh, yeah, I came in with the salt.
Yes, that Bill Clinton, the one who definitely
did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Also the one who did definitely do nothing with that financier from New York, later Palm Beach.
Good morning, everybody. This is Palm Beach Pete.
From Palm Beach, Florida.
Anyway, so you play Socks the Cat, you know, rocking the hill as you do, being Bill Clinton's cat, as one would do. And pretty much you gotta stop spies who sold nuclear launch codes. But I don't really care what the hell the game's actually about or what its levels are like, because all I need to know is that they made a game about 42nd U.S. President Bill Clinton's cat, and it was a ripoff of Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, it's just great to know. It would have been better if it actually released in the 90s, but at least it got released later, so it's still alright. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna be honest, yeah, it was really just an excuse to talk about Socks the Cat Rocks the Hill. Anyway, subscribe so I can make money and buy my own copy of Socks the Cat Rocks the Hill. Seriously, like, if I made money on YouTube, I genuinely would buy an SNES cartridge of this game.